Art back again. I had an interesting question come across my news feed on Facebook the other day. It was I happened to notice it because it was a gentleman I know from my copywriting kind of sideline. Anyway, it might be phrased a little abruptly, and I'll probably adapt it here a little bit, but I thought it was interesting. Now, I'm going to preface this whole thing by saying living in the past, people who live in the past tend to have a lot of regrets. People who are living in the future tend to be very anxious and stressful about what's to come. Part of both the Successful Aging Academy is living in the moment, being present in the moment, and having an awareness of exactly where you are in the moment. An honest, non-judgmental opinion of where you are in the moment. And that way, it gives you a fair overview of what needs to be changed, what you'd like to change, and where you see yourself going. But live in the moment. With that in mind, this is kind of more of a fun kind of question. And here it goes. If you could walk up to your 18-year-old self and slap them right in the face and say, hey, what would you tell them? What would you tell them not to do? What would you tell them to make sure they focus on? Something really quick that's going to help them when they're in this moment today. And I came up with two answers there. Number one is don't stress so much, Art. I tend to be prone towards, and I've talked about this before, prone towards stress and anxiety. And if I just sit back and say, listen, it's going to be all right, you know, by adding anxiousness and worry to any situation, you're certainly not resolving it, you're not helping it. It's only an anchor, it's only an obstacle you're putting in your own way that has zero effect on the outcome. So why are you doing it? I'm not saying be oblivious and don't care about anything in the world. That's not what that means. That means is anxiety and stress do not help your proper planning. They don't help you focus in the moment and fix what's wrong, or deal with business or deal with relationships. It doesn't help any of that. So that's number one. Get rid of the stress and anxiety. Don't worry about things so much. Number two, focus on your intellectual capabilities earlier. I literally was probably a junior in college before I figured out that I could figure things out. I actually had a decent brain in my head, and I could apply it to things, and it took a while to come to that conclusion. I don't know if it was just a lack of confidence. I had plenty of confidence in myself physically, but maybe not so much on the intellectual side of things. And I realized if only you just dedicated a little more time there, certainly would have helped your path going forward. For example, very happy with my choice of being in exercise physiology and be able to help people in training and all the stuff that brought me here today. However, it would have been extremely valuable to me had I added on some business and marketing type of minor. Maybe a minor in business would have been invaluable to me going forward, because I do enjoy the entrepreneurial lifestyle. So I probably would say to myself those two things, and it's just an interesting question. Again, don't dwell on the regrets or bad stuff. Ask yourself that question: what would you go back and change? And then how would that impact me today in this moment? All right. With that in mind, we'll talk to you next time.